My name is Justin Lerner. I'm a writer-director I live in Los Angeles, California. I started my film career, I guess, in college when I went to Cornell University. My degree from there is in theater arts with a major or concentration in film. It was there that I started directing plays and making some short films on 16 millimeter. I got invited to interview at UCLA Film School for a master's in an MFA in directing and production.
Hi, Justin. Can you tell me why do you make films?
I've wanted to make films since I was in high school. I started out wanting to write fiction, basically. And then from there I started to have more of an interest in theater because I wanted to write stuff that could be performed and seen rather than just read. And then I realized that most playwrights don't get to direct, and most directors don't usually write their own plays. And I also developed a very strong interest in photography, music, and a few other of the arts that I realized all were combined in film. All of my writing and fiction and creative writing interests could be done in script writing, and all of my performance and wanting to see the story performed live, or at least in front of you, was exercised in the directing part. And then my understanding and interest in photography and music and editing were all parts of filmmaking. And in high school, I sort of got bit by foreign films, a few foreign films that one of my English professors showed me that made me realize that there's a better way to reach people and more people with film than with any of those other mediums, I think.
It's quite a complex craft, of course, filmmaking. And I guess when you're at a young age, as you were, you hear often by adults that filmmaking is difficult, don't go into it. It might be nice as a hobby, but don't pursue a career in filmmaking. How have you dealt with comments like that and looking back, I mean, you've done 2 feature films and a lot of other work. What can you tell us a little bit of your process and sort of try to break that idealized, whether for good or bad, idea of what being a filmmaker is?
Was that they've been the most supportive parents anyone could have as far as wanting to pursue a vocation or the thing that I want to do. But I would say that the trade-off with them was that if I went to a school that had a good enough pedigree, I can study whatever I want because I'll have a degree from that school, which will allow me to have opportunities, and the world opens up when you go to one of those schools. So I applied to all of the schools that one would, that is looking for that upper echelon of education. And I ended up going to Cornell University, which to them was, they were pleased. It's a very good school. I had a great time there. I learned a lot. With that education, I feel like it's always been very helpful for me in enabling me to have other opportunities outside of the world of film, so that when things slow down or inevitably get difficult in the career I've chosen, I have opportunities to do things like come here and teach, or writing has been a really good way to make ends meet. I discovered through film school that I love editing, and I was able to edit for a while. All of that, I think, has been the way that I've found my way. However, it is difficult. It's not the easiest profession. There isn't a set path, but I've seen that the more focused you are and the more room you give yourself to fail and just get back up and keep trying, I find the more successful you'll be.
You've mentioned a little bit of this previously roller coaster of what filmmaking has been for your features, and I was wondering if you could just comment a little bit on sort of not go that much into detail, but sort of put together sort of a compilation of these challenges that you've had to face. how does it work? I write my script, get funding, and make my film, or how has it been for you?
I think you make your own. Once you make the decision to make films independently, yeah, you're set in a path in which you write a film, you look for the money for it, look for producers to help you make it, you look for actors, and then you make it if you're lucky, and then you wait to get into a festival, and then that can feel like the victory of making the film is the first victory, but then as soon as you get to that level, the new hill to climb is, can we get accepted to a film festival? And once you get accepted to a film festival, if you're lucky enough to get into one of the 5 that you could sell the movie at, you have to play there and get good reviews and sell. And then once you climb that mountain, and the next one is, well, once you sell and you're coming out in theaters, you need to have a good opening weekend and have people come see it. And no matter how many successes you have, there's another hill that you still have to climb. And then once you do that, it's like, well, can I get my next film made, and how? And it's a constant peaks and valleys.
Were you aiming at that universality when you were writing your stories, or did you have mostly an American audience in mind?
I try not to make a film with an audience in mind, because ultimately I think if you do a good job in telling it, it can resonate with anyone who's paying attention. And I think the fact that it went to 4 different continents and resonated with, everyone in different ways, obviously, is just proof of that. I only really guide the kind of stories I want to tell by one thing: is, are they interesting to me? Do they ask something about the world or try to answer or explore something that I'm interested in? Ultimately, if I'm not interested in it, I think anyone else will be too, because you have to treat the subject matter with kind of this childlike fascination that if you're not interested in it, you can tell and you get bored. So no, I think that if it's interesting to you and you tell the story well, it doesn't matter where you're from. There are obviously some cultural differences where certain things may get lost or maybe recontextualized, but ultimately I have a storytelling or a filmmaking style that really doesn't rely too heavily on dialogue. I really like almost not silent films, but I definitely prefer to tell the story more with images than with dialogue.
What hope do you have for these students, or where do you see them going?
Well, I hope that they all come out of here with at least one short piece of work that represents who they are, or at least a story they're interested in telling. And then I hope from that point, they take it and try to put it out into the world in a way that will allow other people to see it and them get invited to either screen at places or make more things. I hope they keep in touch with each other and use each other as resources moving forward to make bigger projects. I think that is the way that most successful filmmakers coming out of film school do it for their first few times. And more than anything, I hope they continue to watch films and continue to make things, because I think the more that they continue to watch as they're growing, the better their work will be.